Welcome to Gin Clear Aviation. My name is Dan. In the UK, each private pilot must revalidate their single engine rating every 24 months. Normally, the pilot will revalidate their license by experience, which means they would have logged at least 12 hours of flight time in a single engine aircraft within the 12 months preceding the SEP rating expiry. 6 of these 12 hours must be logged as pilot in command. The pilot needs to have completed 12 takeoffs and landings during that 12-month period, and a 1-hour dual flight with a flying instructor is also required. The flight with the instructor is intended to be used to revisit skills, for example an engine failure forced landing simulation or practicing stall recovery technique. But it is also for encountering new experiences in a controlled environment. So today I'm going to complete my SEP revalidation in an electrically powered aeroplane. I've never flown an electrically powered aeroplane before, so this will be quite an experience for me. Let's go and meet Cliff Hawkins of Airborne Aviation, based here at Popham, and ask him to explain how the Pipistrel Velis Electro fits into his training schedule. So I'd like to introduce you to Cliff Hawkins from Airborne Aviation. Nice to see you again, Cliff.
Hi Dan, how's it going?
Now, electric aircraft, this is the Pipistrel
Velis Electro.
So you run these planes in Airborne Aviation Air School that you run. So can you tell me why electric?
My background is in automotive engineering, and quite a lot of it towards the end of my last post was with electric vehicles, and it just seems a natural progression. So running the flying school, we predominantly for NPPL, for microlights, up to 600 kilos, but we're also moving into SEP, PPL training, and it just felt like a good thing to do and a nice experiment. So we run a PA-28 Cherokee and we run the Velis Electro.
What reaction do you get from students when they turn up and they may never even thought about electric before?
It's always positive. First question is always, how long can we fly for? But once they've got over that initial question, it's really how we can go and fly. It's a gorgeous aeroplane to fly. It's not a long distance aeroplane. It's very good for circuits and the local area work, which we'll be doing later on with the revalidation flight that we're doing for yourself. And I've only known people leave with a positive experience.
So how does that integrate? So would you just start with electric and move on to piston, or do you stay with electric, or how does that integrate on a training program?
The best way really to do it is, if you're going to do everything on, say, the Pipistrels, you would do probably some of your first work on the petrol powered aircraft, go off to general handling, so you can be out for an hour and a half, and then when you're coming in to do all the circuit work, which is generally a big part of any training course, that's when you can switch over to the Velis, the Velis Electro. And if you've got 2 of them, then you can fly you fly one aircraft, bring it back, charge it, jump in the other one, fly that. So you can have quite uninterrupted training in that way.
So on that point, the batteries for these planes are integrated, bolted into the airframe. So it's not like pulling one out and pulling one in. So when it's landed, you literally plug the plane in, do you?
Yeah, it's exactly the same as all the road cars that most people buy. They've got the batteries probably under the floor, so you can't do anything with it, you have to plug it in. So this aircraft has a battery behind the passenger compartment and another one in the front here. So we just charge it up from a port on the right hand side. Today, when it's nice and warm, it'll probably take less than an hour to do that charge. So even if you're only using one aircraft, it's enough for you to come back, have a cup of tea and a brief, and then go off your next lesson. So
again, the duration is enough for what we call circuit bashing. So you could get probably, 5-6 circuits out of it, and then you land and you recharge, is that sort of idea?
You should easily get 7 circuits, because you're doing an A-to-A flight. The reserves that you need is only 15 minutes. So generally, if we've gone away from the airfield and we're coming back, we aim to come back with 30% charge as we come into the circuit. That'll let us do one more circuit and a go around if we really have to. So This is a SEP aircraft. I know it doesn't sound like it's a SEP as a piston, but it is classified as an SEP. So as you've got a PPL, we can do your 2-yearly revalidation flight on this aircraft, but that has to be a 1-hour flight. It can be over 3 flights. It doesn't have to be all in one. So yeah, we'll do probably 45, 48 minutes in the first session, and then we can go out again and do some more circuits. Probably 2 circuits would be enough just to use up that or complete that 1 hour.
Can we have a sort of A-check walk around the plane, and then you can point out the specifics of the Electro,
Yep.
And then hopefully we'll go flying.
Okay, good.
Brilliant.
The Pipistrel Velis Electro, very similar to any other airplane, so I won't go through every single item that we have to check, but there's a few differences. Interestingly, the airframe is identical to the piston-powered Velis, but just with the exception, this doesn't have air brakes. It's a very clean design, but things that we would look out for are, in the difference to the piston one, is obviously things to do with the electric. And in no particular order, as we're at the front of the aircraft, we can look at some of the items. So both of the batteries are water-cooled, or not cooled, liquid-cooled. So we'll hear that later on, you hear the motors going around, and we have to make sure that there's no air bubbles in their system, so there's no cavitation. So on the front system, you can't see this very well, but I'll show you better on the one on the inside for the rear battery. So there's this little pipe here, so we can look in there and see that the coolant is solid. The lithium-ion battery is clearly behind this. There's a little badge here. You can't necessarily see it, but if you can just see that the badge is not supported there, there's a hole. So if the system was to overheat, the exhaust would come out of here and burn this, and then we'd see a hole. So that's a nice visual check that if there's been an overheating issue that you didn't know about. I mean, you'd have seen that from the telemetry. It's really easy to inspect the propeller because there's no piston compression to go by. So if we walk around this way, we can see a few other pertinent features. The pitot-static head, that's also an angle of attack indicator, and we'll see that this aircraft's got a stick shaker and an audible warning. So there's lots of clues or lots of information to tell you that there's an imminent stall, but we'll do that when we do the flying. Just looking at the rest of the airframe, you can see how smooth and clean the lines are. So it's very, very efficient. So the aircraft's got these very long flaperons. There's 2 stages of flap going onto there. So then looking at the rear of the aircraft, so as we saw the heat tape on the front, there's a rear exhaust, so there's another battery pack sitting in the back of the aircraft here. So we've got that there. Each of the batteries are made up of almost like AA cells, so there's 1152 cells in each battery. Then just looking through the rear, this is just like any other Pipistrel. Again, very clean lines, gap seals, really nicely designed hinges. So it's very easy to see that everything's locked together. And one item that we have to check is that this piece of tape is level. That's not because of anything to do with the electrics, but there's the bolt that holds the tailplane on. So as long as the bolt hasn't come loose, that's one of the vital checks on this aircraft. Slightly different design on this side of the aircraft because we have the air intake for the rear battery just here. And if we just go back a little bit more, if you come right underneath, you'll see there's a big hole there that you have to check to make sure there's nothing blocking that up. So that's the airflow going into the battery compartment and out underneath. So moving inside, got these lovely doors. The visibility in the aircraft is absolutely fantastic. But if we just take off the seat back, and again, this is part of your A check. So this is the battery pack here, and we've got the circulation pumps, but you can see the coolant lines going off there, and there's a little bubble to check at the back. So everything's looking good there. So moving to the inside of the aircraft, we can see a really nice instrument panel, sort of EFIS or electric gauges. Before you ever put any electrics on, always make sure that the power lever is fully back. So everything's off, all the main switches there, but it's a nice easy throttle or power lever actually on this one, and we've got a little brake lever there. So if we just put on the master, and what you're going to see is 835. So there'll be 8 lights coming up, then it will go down to 3, and then there'll be 5 stick shaker blips, sort of a haptic thing. So that's your check to make sure that everything's going. So then we've got the 8, the 3, and we should get 5. 1. Yep. So the systems there have self-tested themselves, and then you see this EPC system. So we have 2 screens on there that show nice and clearly. It's all colour coded. So we've got 2 batteries, front and rear, fully charged. These other ones show state of health, but we'll go through that. So if I put the avionics on now, so that's putting the electrics on there. So we could put the radio and the transponder on, but we won't do that just yet. And then the next breaker is the battery energizer. So you'll hear the pump start. So hopefully that's picked up on the camera. The system's running there. And then we would put the power on for the propeller. So brakes on, let's check that. And we can put the power on for the propeller, because at the moment it still won't start. And then you put the power on, propeller's still not started, and then it'll just start easily. I'll just turn that off just for a bit of safety. And then if we go to the second screen, we see things, so we've got state of health. That's showing us the state of health of the least healthy of those 1152 cells in the battery. Doesn't mean that the battery is down at that, but that's just the smallest one. But every now and again, the system, when it's charging, it will do a balance. So the system will pull itself back up again. So those numbers, probably in the next few flights, will come back up again. So I'm just going to shut that down now, but the other instruments we can look at when we go to taxi away, but I'll just shut that down now. So you hear the coolant pumps are off, avionics are off, and then the master's off. I mentioned when we were doing the walk around about the flaperons. So we have the centrally mounted flap lever. There's 2 stages, first and second. And then when you move in the controls, that's doing the whole massive flaperon that's out there. Then we have the trim for the elevator. So we can see we've got 2 notches or 2 lights there. That means that we're in neutral, and then down elevator trim, and then up elevator trim. So it's mechanical flaps and then electric trim for the elevator. That's the only trims we have. There's no aileron trim or rudder trim, but doesn't seem to need it. It flies really well with that. It flies very much like a glider, and we'll see that when we are in the circuit. So we get to the end of the downwind leg, and literally we just come back to 0, and we just glide all the way in, just managing the power and the height and the descent. So put a stage of flap in so we can fly to 86, I think it is, or 80 knots. And then when we put the second stage in, we're limited down to 65. So we'll be doing that last bit between 60 and 65 knots.
Cliff, okay, so could you go through the charging up process now we have taxied to the charging up point?
Certainly can. So we need to connect to this charging port. Again, it's very similar to an automotive port, but we've got the charging unit is actually inside the workshop here. You need a three-phase supply for this charging unit, so we need to connect that up first. But we just got the unit on the trolley here. When you buy one of these Velis Electros, the charging unit is included in the price. So I'm just going to come and put the power lead into the wall. Then switch that on, and now we go and connect to the aircraft. And again, very similar to an electric car. So it's one of the standard automotive units. So that's all clipped in there. And there's an interlock here that when we're charging, you can't undo the interlock. It's all electric kept. And you might have just heard the stick shaker going. So that's just told us that that's all connected. So now we need to switch on the charger itself. So we've got an on-off button there. And we come here, you might not be able to see it that well in the sunlight, but you can just see. So we've got the battery temperatures 28 degrees as it would be today. We'll leave it at 10 amps. It can go up to 32, but we just start at 10. It should charge very quickly today. And okay, we're only putting a little bit in here so that we've topped up from taxiing it around from the hangar and playing around with the electronics. So in a few minutes that will come up, it'll be fully charged. It'll do a little bit of balancing with the battery cells to help them charge up, and then it will shut itself off. When we looked at the other aircraft, we saw the state of health of the batteries was about 70%. This one, when I just taxied it around, I noticed it's, I think it was 99%, so these are really good batteries in this aircraft. And we can also see inside the aircraft the state of the charge. If I just open the door. So if you look on the screen there's a picture or graphic of the aircraft charging. So you can see the rear batteries saying full, although it's saying 98%, but yeah, we'll leave that for a few minutes and just let it balance, and we're going to have a cup of tea and then brief and go flying.
Let's discuss comparative UK figures between this Velis Electro plane and, say, a Piston Piper 140 training plane. Duration with full charge, the Velis Electro will fly at 70 knots for 50 minutes with 15 minutes reserve. The Piper 140 will fly at 105 knots for 4 hours with 36 gallons, including half an hour reserve. Cost of fuel equates to $9.44 or £7 per hour for the Electro Velis and $67 or £50 per hour for the Piper. Maintenance for the Velis Electro would be an annual cost of approximately $2,700 or £2,000, and for the Piper approximately $8,070 or £6,000. So let's calculate an hourly cost based on 500 hours use per year. This would equate to $15 or £11 per hour for the Velis Electro, and for the Piper 140, $83 or £62 per hour.
Popham Radio, Golf, Oscar, Foxtrot, Tango, Romeo, outbound.
Golf Tango Romeo, readability 5. The runway is 26 with a right-hand circuit. The QNH is 1025.
Runway is 26 right and QNH 1025, Golf Tango Romeo.
We'll be taxiing up between the two C-42s and round. So brakes off. So just push that lever all the way forward.
Tango, roger.
And steer on the pedals, huh?
Yeah, and you might need a little bit of toe brakes just to...
Golf India Tango, roger.
But be mindful, the wing's very long on this. There's plenty of room to get through these two. We're going to move the power lever all the way to full, but so you can see we've got green, amber and then red, but don't go above 50 kilowatts. So you can just push it, keep going. That's it, now back, because we just gone over the 50 there. So, but you see it all came up as amber, so all the way back to stop. Battery status active. Temperatures, we're checking, so everything is in the green.
Yep, all the temperatures in the green.
Yep. And that's it. Warnings, cautions, checks. We do have master cautions up there. The only one we're likely to see is when we get to the end of the sortie. Once we get below 30% charge, we get a warning coming up there. So that's it. So that was the power check.
Okay.
Basically put the throttle forward and back again.
And pre-flight, what are we doing
okay,
with that?
so hatches harness is secure. We're both secure. Pitot cover is off. Flaps to one stage.
One?
Yep. The trim...
Neutral?
Yep. Trim's neutral. Power lever cut off. Which is... So yeah, take the power off.
Yep.
So that's another thing it's a bit unusual, it's a bit unnatural for a piston pilot to sit here with the propeller not moving. The first thing that most of us, me included, you'd sit here with a little bit of revs, but we're out here, so temperatures are all still good. State of charge, check, we have 99%. Flight controls full and free. And put the transponder on. Okay, we can line up now.
Golf Tango Romeo is ready at hold for 26.
Golf Tango Romeo, roger. Got no reported traffic. Surface wind light and variable.
Surface wind light and variable, lining up 26. Golf Tango Romeo.
So it'll be a full power takeoff, but we'll keep it below 66 kilowatts, rotating at 50, 55, climbing at 60, 65. We're good to go.
Full power?
Full power, yep.
Bit of right rudder.
Okay. Rotate. Keep it 65, that's a perfect attitude there.
Climbing out at 65.
So above 300 feet, we can flaps away. Oh, we'll get the power back into the green now. Yeah, so it's got a FADEC system, so it's doing the RPM and the kilowatts together. So just back it off a little bit, so we'll get it down to, keep the needle in the top, so that'd be about 40 kilowatts. See how steep it is?
It really is nose up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very nose up, and we're at 65 now. What's our climb rate at the minute?
600 feet a minute, we got it on that one there.
Okay, that's good. 600 feet per minute at 73 knots, 40 kilowatts of power, RPM 2,200.
Yeah, so we just reduce the power a bit now, we can then level off at 2.5. To get it down to about 30 kilowatts.
It's very sensitive, the power lever, isn't it?
Yes, it is, yeah. So I remember for the normal cruise, best cruise is 25 kilowatts, best endurance is 20. So actually you can get it back to 25 now because we're at 2.5. But it should then settle at 80 knots. So just have a little bit of a play around, just see what you feel.
It's just getting that attitude now, see what straight and level at the setting of 25 kilowatts.
Back to 20 kilowatts. So remember, we just conserve the power because that will give us the best endurance. So give it some power. Let's go up to 3,000 feet. So put the power right up to about 40 kilowatts, 70 knots, and then we'll quickly get up to 3,000 feet.
Yeah, it's a pronounced nose up on the climb, isn't it? It's 70 knots.
Yeah, I mean it's a 600 kilo aircraft, so it's very much like the microlight. So this is the lowest weight for a light aircraft, but the highest weight for a microlight, so it's right in the middle there. And they feel very much like that when they're doing it. So, okay, we are 2009, so let's
level off there.
Yep, level off.
Power back. So now we're at...
take the power back, maintain the altitude with the power right off, and just hold it on the altitude. Put on the altitude, yeah, keep 3,000 feet. Keep the power back, so we're expecting it at, what did we say, 50 knots?
Yeah, any time now, I think.
Yeah, keep coming back. So that was the haptic. Coming back. Yep, now go. So full power, or that's it, a bit more power, and then you've got the speed back. Okay. Oh, now don't go over the limiting speed of the flaps. The flaps away. That's as it was a benign stall. We didn't go deep into the stall, but
it was interesting, kind of stick was shaking.
Yep, and you could hear it as well. So there's two really good clues there.
Yeah, audible and a massive stick shake, and then obviously just nose down and power on. But that was very benign. So it's all about power and attitude.
Yep.
There's a lovely vision through these windows, isn't it amazing?
Visibility is excellent, and we got the extra bit at the top as well. Right, so we got 65%, so let's start heading back to the airfield. We're going to do an overhead join.
So we've got 65% in each front and rear battery.
Yeah, they do generally tend to come down the same. There's no switching between one or the other, you just got both all the time. And it also says 35 minutes, but that can vary depending on power settings or whatever, so you can't just say, oh yeah, I'll get there.
But at this setting,
yeah,
you'd get 34 minutes at the moment, yeah. Popham, good afternoon. Rejoin flight, Golf Oscar Foxtrot, Tango Romeo.
Golf Tango Romeo, runway 26, right-hand circuit, QFE 1006.
1006 and 26, Golf Tango Romeo.
So just the right height for overhead.
Runway new.
What do you think of the way the aircraft flies though?
Yeah, no, it's very nice. Obviously it's very sensitive.
Yep.
Because it's very light, but it's very nice. I mean, it's very simple to fly. It's very responsive. And I think you could get used to this very fast. I mean, I'm getting used to it now just by, just feeling it. And it's hard to, in the beginning, it's hard to keep altitude because of the nose attitude. But you get used to that.
Yeah. But this 80 knots is much better than the 70 knots. So
yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got the airfield just here.
There you go. Right.
Golf Tango Romeo overhead for 26.
Golf Tango Romeo, roger.
So the good thing about an aircraft like this, there's lots of noise-sensitive areas at Popham.
Yep.
And yeah, we'll be very quiet. So once we're descending dead side, there won't be any noise. It'll just be the propeller windmilling. We're just like a glider.
So from a noise pollution, there isn't any really.
No, so very little noise pollution, and obviously no carbon emissions. So as long as you're using sustainable energy sources, it is a net zero aircraft for the flight training part. Okay, so if you want to take the power off now.
All the way?
Yep, all the way back to zero. Don't have to worry about shock cooling or anything like that. 75 knots is best glide speed, so a little bit of power now because we're going to get a bit too low otherwise. And then when you've got the speed to 65, so you want to be between 60 and 65, and put that second stage in. Okay. Right, a bit more, a little bit of power. Don't bank too hard with this. That's it. Right, and now we'll land. The power off.
Yeah.
Oh.
Golf Tango Romeo going round.
Right, so make your turn now to the right.
Golf Tango
You
Romeo.
go over the big tree and head off to the silos and flaps. Pitch up, because it's screaming at you. Pitch up more, get to about 60 knots. And then power back a bit. Out the red.
Oh, Roger, surface wind light and variable.
Now we can get rid of the flaps. Looking good. Let's start a gentle turn now. Now. Yep.
Golf Lima Yankee final, visual 1 ahead.
Golf Lima Yankee, Roger. Surface wind is light and variable.
Nice one.
Yay, I did it. That was definitely one of my aviation milestones. I now have the amazing little Electro Velis in my logbook, and also I've revalidated my SEP, allowing me to fly for another 24 months. The Electro Velis is a fabulous training aircraft and very cost effective too, and I can also see how this fits into the training schedule of any new or experienced pilot. If you fancy flying an electric aeroplane, why not call Airborne Aviation here at Popham or search for an electric plane near you. Until next time, wishing you clear skies ahead, this was Dan from Gin Clear Aviation.